Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Solo audio program. Recording this at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Greater Vegas on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, making this episode 2025-111901, 2025, 11-19, first of the day. If you're not familiar with the program, that is essentially DNS serial number, typical serial number scheme for serialized record updates of DNS. Today's title, Dead Vines. I have written out a few items in my outline here. Dead Vines? What is that? Well, hang on, we'll get to it. If you're not familiar with the Coffee Solo program, it was initially published exclusively at ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/danhugo/posts. They do not offer an RSS feed, and it's not really the best way to distribute an audio program, a podcast. So now I publish it there first, and then shortly after, it magically appears on the Spotify for Creators portion of Spotify, the creator platform that allows for publication of audio and video programs, actually, far and wide. So the profile page for Coffee Solo, I always pronounce it Ko-fi because it's Ko-fi is an unusual spelling of coffee. The profile page on Spotify for Creators has links to Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, an RSS feed, a YouTube channel, the works. But it is available first on ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/danhugo/posts. So if you're listening to this there, great. You're probably in a very small population, but it is available in those other places. So let's get to it. The summary of today's episode. My account with Amazon Vine has been closed for not maintaining my review percentage. My long reviewer nightmare is over. Ellipsis. So again, this episode and all Coffee Solo episodes are available first at ko-fi.com/danhugo/posts. Then they're available at the Spotify for Creators portal homepage, but I do have links to Coffee Solo episode sites, places to find the feeds and whatnot, and as well Buy Me an Update, which used to be published exclusively on buymeacoffee.com. Those are both available on my personal homepage, danhugo.com, which is almost certainly not looking good as you listen to this. If you're listening to it in November of 2025, I'm not a web designer, but it is on my to-do list. It has been for a while, just like getting 60% review ratio back to where it should have been. But we'll get to that in a second. So you can find Coffee Solo and Buy Me an Update links also on danhugo.com. I'll probably have like URLs for each separated out. Anyway, to-do list. and the profile page linking everything, buymeacoffee.com/danhugo. You don't have to spend any money there. It's a free form profile page that I don't have to maintain like my own website and whatnot. It just has links to all of my audio programming, all of their YouTube channels and Spotify for Creator profile pages and whatnot. Some affiliate links for the Amazon, which I can't say I'm really regardless of this Amazon Vine situation, which is actually fine, which we'll get to. Amazon's just getting on my nerves a little bit. I mean, Amazon has been a problem, a scourge on humanity of sorts for a while. But from my personal perspective, I'm finding myself less and less interested in dealing with Amazon. So I spend less money with them. I don't care as much. So that's that. Anyway, so let's get to today's episode, Coffee Solo. What's up? What's down? What's going on? What am I talking about today? Fresh off the burner this morning, I took a look, and Amazon Vine has a profile page with your orders that you have to review and the ones you did review and items that you can select and so on. So I had a warning about a month ago that I was not maintaining my review ratio. So at a silver level, I've talked about this before. At the silver level, you have to maintain a 60% review rate And you have to, so of the number of items that are recorded as ordered in the period, so from September 19th to, it would have been March, you have to maintain 60% total of items reviewed. And you have to review, I think it was 80 items to maintain, you have to get to 80 items to consider, now 80 or 90, I think it was 90, to get to gold. And at the time, the last time I looked, I had an excellent review quality rating, and I had 34% of my reviews had photos or media, which they encourage but do not necessarily require. But my review percentage was only 55%. I had excellent review. I needed to review about 4 or maybe 5 items to get back to the 60% bottom cutoff, and then I would have been in good standing, and then I could have proceeded to review things. I had pictures and reviews that I could have submitted, or some reviews without pictures, so I could have easily hit 4 or 5 items in the last 2 weeks or so. So why did I not? Well, because I use words like chore and frustrating to describe the obligation scheme that I have to meet those requirements to do reviews. It's no longer, oh, this is a cool product, or, oh, I hated this product. It's, I must write a review for this product or else. And I see others have used the same terms in a quick spelunking through the internets. It was not the free stuff and that's it. Like, what? You get all that free stuff? Well, you're obligated. And it's a sort of a draconian system with essentially one-way support, for which I developed contempt over these last 2 weeks. Actually, probably more like a month. Essentially, you can contact Amazon Vine support. They have this dumb, like, pick a topic area where you're having an issue. And sometimes it wouldn't really be appropriate, but I'd pick one sort of close. And then I would describe my problem, and I would get a platitude-laden, like, one sentence is useful in the response, but it was like a LinkedIn style response. Like, why are there 10 one-sentence paragraphs? And I got to figure out which is the answer. So not always satisfying, sort of frustrating. And then if I responded to that, nothing, because it's really just, we're going to send you an answer and then don't bother us, kid. So what the cutoff was, I mean, it literally was like, I don't know, when you look behind the curtain or something, you know, you're like, oh. So I reviewed these gummies. They were, what is it? Magnesium glycinate. And it has some L-theanine and some other stuff. But basically, I found, and I actually really like the product, I keep them by my bed. They're sugar-free, which is nice. One gummy before I'm going to sleep. The L-theanine is relaxing. It's like drinking some Earl Grey at night. And magnesium glycinate is supposed to be good for sleep. So I found that I was getting a nice relaxing sleep when I would just pop one in the mouth to chew a couple times. No sugar, so I'm not overly worried. I mean, I could go brush my teeth and then get back in bed, but if I'm like on the edge of sleeping, now it wouldn't be that I would sleep for 12 hours, but I was getting because I'm not really a 10-hour, 8-hour sleeper, but I would get like 2-3 hours of reasonable sleep. And then I would wake up and I'm like a little bit groggy, and I would go do anything that I would need to do. And then I would get back in bed and kind of like nap a little bit to wakefulness. So I'd end up getting like 5-6 hours. And that's pretty normal, but I would get a really good chunk of restful sleep. So that was good. So I wrote that review, and the review was rejected for violating whatever their terms are. And what I found is that, and I think this is pretty common now, commonplace, no explanation of what or why, but I did have an option to resubmit review. So I clicked on resubmit review. Now, because this has happened to me before, only 2 or 3 times, I knew that they don't say, hey, here's your review, why don't you edit it and resubmit it? They just say resubmit and you get a blank form. So I became used to creating my reviews separately and then pasting them in. So I had the original text, so that part was okay. But in this case, I get this red alert box. Reviews for this product are not being accepted for this account. Please review something else. And I was like, what does this mean? So I contacted support and said, what does that even mean? No, your review is published. And I said, well, that's not what this says. And I can't see the review. It's not there. So I was getting gaslighted apparently. And then, of course, this is not an ongoing conversation. So I'd copy their response, paste it into a new support email. I think this was 3 laps around this silliness. And I just gave up. And that is when I stopped caring about the review system of Amazon Vine. So that was, I could tell you exactly, but I think it was like 3 weeks ago. Maybe a month. Or maybe it was a month. Maybe it was something like that. Because then when I saw the danger message, your account is in danger of being closed, I was like, all right, I took a couple of pictures of a cool item actually, and some other pictures of 2 other items. So I had 3 media, including media, 3 reviews with media to submit. I hadn't written them out yet, but they were much like Amadeus. They were already written in my head. So, but I would I would go to the Amazon Vine thing. I had the list of products. I opened up the windows for the products so I could, grab the data when I purchased it and all that for my records. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. It's as if there was a hand coming out of my screen pushing me away. No, don't look away. Don't go here anymore. And I really, it was the hill was getting steeper and steeper every day. And eventually I just said, all right, maybe I'll just submit the pictures in a simpler review. I won't spend too much time on it, but I'm like, I kind of already did it. I could hit the 60%, but I just am not caring anymore. So today when I saw that, it must have been 30 days. So there is a 30-day like probationary period once you get the danger zone warning. And then there are quite literally, this is spelled out. Can I appeal? There are no appeals. There are no reconsiderations. If you contact support, they will only be able to tell you that your account is indeed closed. So don't even bother. No, it says like the support people cannot reinstate accounts. So if you ask, they can't do anything anyway. And so that's it. So the final message is apparently continue to provide high quality reviews and you may be reconsidered in the future. I'm like, that's kind of how I got into this situation in the first place. Now, I will say there are some of the things that I got as a result of my Amazon Vine interaction that I probably would not have purchased. Kind of in that like, oh, that would be kind of cool, but I don't want to spend the money. $10 item, $20 item. So we're not talking hundreds or thousands. We're talking tens or hundreds. No, not hundreds. We're talking tens or a few tens, right? $10, $30. I think the most expensive thing I got was sneakers from this company that doesn't do sizing well. So I got 3 different pairs of sneakers and they're all sized a little bit differently. They're okay. They're not sized differently enough so that they're not usable. But I was like, why? They're not quite right. They're fine, but they're not right. They're not 5 stars. So those are probably the most expensive. I got a little space heater that I haven't really been able to use because it's been quite warm, but now the weather in Vegas is just getting cooler in the evening. So not even cool enough to have the whole central heating on. So I can leave the thermostat off and just do a little space heating at night. If you're familiar with how a desert works, it gets cold at night. But I'm not wandering around the entire place at night. I'm having my gummy. And no, it is not a CBD gummy. It's nothing, none of that. It's purely just L-theanine and magnesium glycinate. And I think there was one other, and then a non-sugar sweetener. I can't remember if it was, what is it? It's not monk fruit. I don't remember what it was. But like 4 or 5 ingredients, nothing too exciting. But it worked for me. So that was the root of the future becoming rooted in the present. So there you go. I'm no longer welcome. But yeah, the sneakers are okay. The space heater I haven't tried yet. I got actually a nice gooseneck pitcher for boiling gooseneck kettle for boiling water to make coffee in the morning. And I got 2 borosilicate pitchers that are something just under 2 liters. I think they're 68 ounces. That rings a bell. Which are great. I use them for water, keep water, chilled water in the refrigerator. Much better than like a plastic container or something. So these 2 borosilicate square, so they fit nicely in the refrigerator. decent handles. One has a better handle than the other. I noted that in my reviews. So those two products. I have this other 1 gallon borosilicate sun tea, or so it has like a spigot in the bottom of it. 1 gallon. I'm like, should I just fill that with water and keep it in the fridge? Should I make some sun tea? I don't know. But I have that. Never even took it out of the box. So I will absolutely use that though, because I'm really fond of these borosilicate items. I got beaker stoppers, $5. Okay, those worked. They're great. I just got a bunch of stuff that was in the $10 to $30 range, and then a few items in the sort of 30 to 50, and then maybe 10 items that are above $50 or $60. But I just had so many of these small items. In fact, I got to review because they send you a 1099 at the end of the year. So if I look around, which I did today, I see other people using the same words. Like, it's not as good as it sounds. It gets really frustrating to be obligated to write these reviews. It becomes a chore. You end up, because you select what you order, but you end up ordering, you could order up to 3 items a day. If I had gotten to the gold tier, your total value of the items, of each item, could be over $100, under $100 for silver. And you could order up to 8 items a day. And I'm like, this became almost like a reflexive addiction. Like, oh, the new item selections are probably up at 6 in the morning, as was I. So I'm like, oh, well, let me see what else I can order. And I would order a couple things. I'm like, man, if it was 8 a day, because I got stuff still in boxes. I got a cool knife sharpener. I got a stainless steel cutting board. I don't know if I really need that. The problem though is that none of these are really ideally resellable. And my thinking was always, well, if I get to the gold tier, maybe there will be a couple things that I could just sell them discount, but still make, reasonable. I cannot sell a $10 item and make it worthwhile. Now, if I was in the business of selling $10 items, maybe, but I got one item that's $10 or $20. Okay. Well, I could buy it on Amazon brand new. So I'll buy it from you at garage sale prices. So I'll give you $1 for it. Well, no, because I got to send it to you or I got to deal with it. So let's make it like 50%. And they'll be like, yeah, but it's like, I can just buy it from Amazon for $20 instead of $10. So why would I get it from you? And suddenly it's like, well, I would be making $10, but am I really making $10? Because it's going to be a pain. I've talked to enough people that sell things in general, and unless you are really in that mindset and geared up for it, and have different places to post things, Amazon Marketplace, I guess, Craigslist, whatever, I don't even know. So it's like, is it going to be worth it? I'll tell you, the total quality of life for being obligated to do this Amazon stuff was impactful, not in a great way. Having those borosilicate pitchers, great. Each one I believe is $20. So is it worth the impact, the frustration, the contempt that I was eventually feeling over that one gummy review? Like, why is it so hard to get support? Just answer the damn question. And they were answering me, but they're like, no, your review's published. I'm like, no, it isn't. Why am I spending time on this? And that bled over into, why am I spending time on this in general? Like, rather than dealing with this in the future, I should spend time on my startup endeavors, make money, and purchase a borosilicate glass pitcher if I want to for $20, and then never write a review for it. Right? So that is the sensible path. Amazon Vine was a good experience. I'm glad I was signed up for it. But I still have a bunch of stuff to deal with. And now I'm on the fence. Should I write reviews anyway? Because I'm like, well, I signed up under these terms, and the items, I believe the items are paid for by the seller. So the seller contributes these items to the collection of items. So the cost is from them, and they're basically paying for reviews, but through the Amazon gateway, because Amazon does not really like paid reviews. So in this case, they're managing that scheme. You still get a 1099 for the value of the items, and the value of the items, I think, is just retail, right? So a little crazy. Like this, they add up, and you're like, well, I'm technically being paid to do this. So should I write the reviews for the items I have remaining? I could do that. I could post the items that I was going to review, that I have photos and everything. One of them is this cool RGB flashlight, white RGB, blinking red, cycles through. USB-C rechargeable, comes with a removable battery, which is, when you think about it, the total package of this thing, 5 stars. It's really good quality. It has a zoom lens on the front, so you can, not quite down to like a pencil thin laser beam, but you have a nice wide sort of area light where you could slide the cap forward, tightens the beam up a little bit. It's useful. But so I took the RGB pictures. I took 8 pictures, zoom, full wide and zoomed in, white RGB. I could easily describe the pluses and minuses and my use cases, all that stuff, which I have done before. That's how I got excellent review quality. So I can do that. I'm like, should I do that? Do I owe anyone anything? Technically, sure, but I can just do it at my leisure. So I still have so that they strip your account of like, I can't select anything anymore. What else? So yeah, no more items available. And I think you just can see the items I can see the items I've reviewed, the items I have yet to review if I want to, and my orders, and that's it. So I could if I want. I'm not chomping at the bit. But as far as I'm concerned at this point, the albatross has been removed from my neck. It was bothering me for the last 2 weeks. Yet, almost like writer's block, I'm like, I could just bang these out right now. It would probably take me, because I have the photos already taken, I could write 5 reviews in about 20 minutes. Why did I not spend that 20 minutes? That's one of those questions we can ask ourselves, but we already know the answer. Isn't that the Matrix thing? You ask yourself, but we all know the answer, or whatever it is. It's Morpheus. So yeah, albatross removed from the neck. On with life. I really have better things to spend time on. So that's probably how it's going to go. And again, the draconian, like, there's no appeal. That's the way it is. You're like, geez, there's no accounting for like events in life. Like when I hurt my ankle, that kind of slowed me down back at the end of May. I hurt my ankle. So there was some time there where I was also in danger of account closure. And, so I did catch up, but I was limping around and I couldn't really take pictures so easily. So I think I had like 4% of my reviews had media pictures, basically. So they don't really care. So that was the big take home. And as I posted on my one of my Mastodon accounts, the 4 stages of Vine it's the Vine. It could be 3: fun, chore, frustrating, contempt. Those are not all in the same tense, but yeah. So I guess it would be fun. What is it when you feel like you have albatross, I guess. I don't know. Obligated. So yeah, fun, obligated, frustrated, and then contemptuous. I don't know. And again, I found others having similar opinions of the whole thing. So yeah, at the end of the day, good riddance. I would much rather spend the time making more than enough money to buy things that I would like and be unbeholden to the likes of Amazon. Enough about that. As I've mentioned, I am managing director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. It's a 501c3 civic volunteer organization. Sort of. No, it is. Doesn't feel like it because there's only one person right now. That's me. And I just produced an episode from Tuesday this week. So yesterday, as I'm recording now, yesterday morning, addressing the civic volunteer winter, as I call it. And that's a common term. The AI winter is something you may have heard about in the news. While Amazon was a chore, Amazon Vine was a chore, Innovate for Vegas is an important thing, and I actually like doing it, and I think it's ultimately worthwhile. But both have been somewhat frustrating lately, where Amazon has all of the control and is a disappointment in general, and this is true of most Amazon interactions. I mean, ultimately, they do deal with like a missing package, similar things like that. But boy, howdy, do they make it hard sometimes. And it is, you got to threaten to, I'm going to cancel everything. Look, when I've been a Prime member for time immemorial, and I'm going to cancel it right now. No. You're valued. Can I offer you $5? Ooh, $5. You've changed my mind. No, I actually always reject those. I say $5 is an insult. If you offer me $5 and you don't remove it, we can close my account right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Whatever. There are a lot of pretend consideration of the customer, but they really don't care if they're even human at this point. Although Amazon AI is horrible, so they probably are human. But with our foundation, it is a matter of finding people who want to participate. Now, want want to participate. Want is the key word there. When we first got this started, someone said, oh, you could go recruit at the college at this. I'm like, no, I don't want to do recruiting. I had settled some time ago on the fact that recruiting people, trying to convince them to pursue our goals. And when I say our goals, when you participate, you become the our, the we, right? So there is no, I have to do what you tell me. It's we collaborate on direction, priorities, what works, what we need to accomplish, what would be community elevating, right? It's about valuing the time of all volunteers. So if people believe they work for me, that's giving me too much responsibility, which would require me to contribute a lot more time, which I'm already doing. So I always tell people, when you participate, you are not working for me. We are working together, and we are trying to elevate our communities. So don't think of it as a hierarchy. Think of it as collaboration. That goes over most people's heads, unfortunately, because people don't think that way. But yeah, so Amazon has all the control, but we are trying to be a collaborative organization and do good things. Trying to convince them to pursue our goals through active participation and collaboration is not going to happen. I'm just not going to go around begging. Volunteers are great, especially when they want to participate because of something they have within them. They should see the value proposition from their perspective. Like, yeah, I've always wanted to fill in the blank, right? I've always wanted to work with people who want to fill in the blank. Make tools to make accessing data a little bit easier in our city, to look at physical accessibility issues around the city. I've said this many times in context that we are not a code organization, so not everything is code. Our innovations can take many forms, and the people that participate can come from many places. So we're not really doing like, oh, bring your laptop and a can of Red Bull. No, it could be anything. Language translation, marketing, messaging, yeah, some software, maybe some hardware, maybe some mechanical. Maybe we need to build a kiosk or come up with a workflow in the physical world, and we have to actually talk to humans and see what they think and do co-creation and all that. So it can be substantial if we find that the core group of people who want to sort of go from one person to, oh, now we're cooking. But if I need to spend time recruiting, selling this notion, we are in a bad place. So I do not. I prefer to imagine that people benefit from some FOMO, fear of missing out, to reach an aha moment, to lean in and look around. Oh, okay, now I see what you guys are doing. Can I be a part of this? Then have them reach inside themselves and find that the thing that leads them to want to be a part of what we are aiming to accomplish is something they already have. The Civic Volunteer Winter, coincident with the season perhaps, but that's only coincidence, really. There are some factors. I mean, the holidays, I don't have time to get involved in something new. The economy is horrible, whatever. There's a number of things that are just lining up, not in a great way. But the Civic Volunteer Winter is visible. It's palpable. It's a palpable slowdown in any possibility of that interest for now. Just too many other things, especially starting something new. And we don't have much to show. So the entire episode was really focused on, okay, well, if it's just going to be me, and I've done previous episodes recently about switching the script, so not pursuing things as we had been, something of a pivot. So I called that tuning, because we're not really pivoting. We're just making some adjustments before I talked about the fact that it's a Civic Volunteer Winter and so on. So yeah, the AI winter was periods of time over the last several decades where funding slowed down, there were fewer people pursuing the research and so on. So these periods occur, and it's not just in Vegas. As I look around, there are some other cohorts and former brigades and so on. They're not on fire. So I think it's just the nature of all these various factors, the perfect storm, perhaps. Thus, it is time to focus on doing, not lamenting, not recruiting, just doing. I went over I'd like to learn Rust. I've never really sat down and focused on that. I don't need to focus on, boy, I wish we had some board members, because they're just not going to come. I have to do something interesting and then say, look, do you want to be a part of this? I've found in Vegas, it's very difficult to find people who are outside the box thinkers. So it's not only Vegas, but certainly if I was in Silicon Valley, I think I probably would have had 5 board members pretty quickly if I had my old network and whatnot. But boy, howdy, what's going on in Vegas? Well, I'm not in Vegas. So I really have to look local first. Plus our board members were in Northern California, Sacramento, Fresno, somewhere in there. And they were not connected to anything we were doing here. And unfortunately, ended up being sort of a pig in a poke, so to speak. So yeah, finding local board members should be doable, but we can't really get the word out. And part of the focus of that episode, I started off by talking about the Global Entrepreneur Week, which is happening right now as I'm recording this, and that no one talks about it. So getting the word out about something. There's a gewnevada.org website, I think it is, maybe .com. I linked it in the episode. So you can go to their website, but only if you know it exists. You look around in our local media. No, they're really talking about, Formula One. Let's look at the review journal real quick. So I'm not lying. Whoa. No, a girl was hit and killed in crossing a street on, that happened. Pedestrian accidents or collisions here are a problem. So one of the things I would like to do is collect data from pedestrians and bicyclists about unsafe intersections. The way they get unsafe intersection data now, by the way, it doesn't have to be an intersection. Places that are unsafe for pedestrians, people on bicycles. We should be capturing that before people get killed. Like you should be, and I'm a pedestrian myself. I sold my car many years ago, so I'm public transit and alternative transportation, occasional Lyft, not Uber. I hate Uber. But pretty much walking, take the bus. I have a bike, but walking is much easier. Bikes can get stolen. My sneakers have not been stolen. So, but catching the bus, but if we can start to capture, like I've almost been hit in some places because people are not looking. They don't expect a pedestrian. Like I'm on the sidewalk. Yeah, but I was looking at my phone, or I was, more likely it's that it's not a controlled intersection. It's like a T intersection. Usually people are looking at, they're making sure oncoming traffic is clear, and then they don't look for a pedestrian until they're in the turn, or parking lot for apartment complexes and so on. So there are a couple of spots where I know I got to be extra careful, and that pays off because I have not been hit by a car. If there's some wood around, I'll knock on it later. So that's one of the things I'd like to pursue, because I think it's an actual, immediate value. There's no way to argue, oh, so you're actually going to have people indicate places that they've almost been hit by a car? Because right now they really collect either traffic camera data or accident data, but there's not traffic cameras, and they're not looking for pedestrians at every turn, so to speak. What else we got here? Yeah, victim describes 12-car crash that left 2 dead. That sounds lovely. Probation for teen who committed fatal North Las Vegas shooting. Delightful. Anyway, so let's go to the business section. When there's business talked about in the press in Vegas, it's real estate, it's gaming, it's manufacturing, some of the key industries. They'll talk about the bigger businesses. Very little interest in, the Vegas Chamber launches a small business support center. Go to the business section. So this is a review journal. It's right-leaning. Sheldon, what was his name? Sheldon Abramson, Adelman, whatever. His wife donated a big chunk of money and got a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Not seeing anything about Global Entrepreneur Week. And the same, Las Vegas Sun is a little bit better, a little bit more pro small business. The review journal is pro big business. Let's see, Emerson Drews, Small Business Resource Center. So we were going to have the Startup Resource Center, SRC, and there was very little interest in that. So we'll see what the chamber is doing, but they're not talking about Global Entrepreneur Week. So they do this week, but for 3 years in a row now, it's been the same people. So it hasn't really grown in participation on the organization side, and they've had it at the same time as Formula One, so it gets zero coverage. The Formula One gets everything. So that's sort of the nature of the beast. Las Vegas Chamber. I'm not going to hang out with you guys on this, but I'll look around a little bit. Small Business Resource Center. But anyway, that's the deal. So the Amazon Vine stuff was the big thing. Like I described it. I kind of am on the fence. Like, should I have tried to get to the 60% and then just kind of let it ride? And because I got to tell you, once they suspended my account, so I couldn't order anything until I caught up to the 60%, I haven't even looked. Well, I can't because they don't show you anything, but I completely lost the sense that like, oh, I got to check and see what's like, you know what? Not dealing with that. Get that albatross off already. So yeah, I'm just kind of disclosing or kind of wrapping that up, I guess, because I've talked about it previously. So done and done. On to bigger, better things. I have tons of stuff to do. I don't want to deal with Amazon. I don't want to have more and more and more and more boxes to deal with. That was becoming a really point. And all these things that I've described, the generic and not the specific, but the boxes, the obligation, the sense of obligation, the frustration, the fatigue. I read about those exact words being used by other people. It's not everything it's cracked up to be. You think it's a bunch of free stuff, but not really. So at the end of the day, a good experience, but I would rather make a little extra money and spend it on things that I'm not sure if I want them or need them, but I can buy another borosilicate glass pitcher, and I would get a third one actually. So, good times, but onward and upward, Excelsior. And that's where I will leave it for today. Thank you for listening as always. And you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. The profile page has links to all of my audio programs. I produce different audio programs every day, 4 days a week. Buy Me an Update on Mondays. Tuesday is Let's Innovate for Vegas. Wednesday, Quaggling Sand. Thursday, FFS Talk. Friday, Cafe Genius Impresarios. And then this program floats around whenever, no particular topic, no particular schedule. So there's got to be something in there you find interesting. And there's websites for everything. Start at buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo and go from there. Take care now. Bye-bye.